Hey the Matrix, welcome to Educate. Let us do the human ear in the responding to the environment. So basically the human ear is this organ that you are using to hear my voice right now. It is basically the one that is able to make you to hear sound, right? So basically we'll be looking at the ear and how it functions in a basic sense. So here, this is a diagram of the ear. Basically what you actually see outside, this thing that they pinch when you are naughty. So this is what they pinch when you're naughty. I'm sure your high school teacher have once pinched this thing. This is the ear. This is part of the ear. So basically here, this is the diagram that is most commonly used to describe the ear. So the ear is divided, or we can say it can be divided into three main sections. We have got the outer ear, we have got the middle ear, as well as an inner ear. So the outer ear basically runs from somewhere here until it reaches somewhere here. So all this section here, we can say that all this section here, this is our outer ear. So this is the outer ear. And then the middle ear, it is just this small portion that we see here. This is the middle one. So this describes the section known as the middle ear. And then the inner ear, it is this shape that is shaped like a snail or something like that. So this is the inner ear. Cool. So basically these are the three sections. So we need to know how each and every section works and the parts that are involved in the functioning, and how do they actually end up making you to hear sound. So the basic functioning of the ear starts with the sound waves that are entering the outer ear. So basically, sound travels in form of sound waves, in longitudinal sound waves. So those sound waves, they must enter the outer ear. So basically, the sound waves that we'll be talking here, basically, let's just say the noise that is coming from the outer environment, it must enter the ear, the outer ear. And then when it enters the outer ear, these sound waves, it must cause vibrations. So when it enters the outer ear, it must cause vibrations in the middle ear. So here at the middle ear, we must have vibrations. And then those vibrations, they must create pressure waves in the inner ear. So here at the inner ear, we must have pressure waves. So basically we start with a sound wave, then the sound wave will create a vibration, then a vibration will create a pressure wave. But now you will understand what that is as we proceed. So starting with the sound waves that enter the outer ear, let us look at this portion known as the outer ear. It is made up of three parts basically. It is the pinna, it is the auditory canal, and the tympanic membrane. So now the pinna, it is this part that they pinch, which you call the ear, but in biological terms, the ear is a large thing, okay? But basically this thing that they pinch when you are naughty, it is your pinna. So this pinna, what does it actually do since it is part of the outer ear? So this pinna is a flap-like structure. Okay, when you say it's a flap-like structure, you know it has got a flaps. Okay, I don't know how can I describe that better, but just touch your ear right now and feel it. You can feel it. That's your pinna there. So this whole part here, it is known as your pinna. So the pinna, it is a flap-like structure. Whenever they say describe how it looks like, it's a flap-like structure. And its main function, it is to trap and direct sound waves into the auditory canal. So basically, when you are talking, or when someone is talking to you and then you are listening to that noise, those are sound waves, and those sound waves enter the pinna. So the pinna, we say it actually traps the sound waves so that they can enter into the auditory canal. So the auditory canal, it is describing this pipe here. So this is the auditory canal. So the pipe here that actually collects the sound waves from the pinna, or that are trapped by the pinna, is known as the auditory canal. So it's more like a pipe. So in basic terms, you can try to touch, you can feel that open space that you can feel that has got dirty things in your ear, the dirt of the ear, basically. When you keep on touching and touching and touching, that is all the auditory canal. It's a canal, it's a space, sort of like. So the auditory canal basically transmits the sound waves to the tympanic membrane. So here we are transmitting sound waves, because remember that we say that sound is traveling in form of sound waves. So as these sound waves are entering here, they are being transmitted by this thing known as the auditory canal, and then they are being transmitted to the tympanic membrane. The tympanic membrane, we are talking about this part here. This is known as the tympanic membrane, but we'll discuss more of it when we do the middle ear. But basically, the sound waves, they are going towards the tympanic membrane through the auditory canal. So the adaptations or the features of the auditory canal is that it has got hairs. Please write, this one is very important. It has got hairs. So they can say it has got cilia. Okay, remember that when we talk about the small hairs that we have around tissues in humans, it is known as cilia. So basically it has got small hairs, just like in your nose. If you can touch in your nose, you can feel small hairs. Okay, and you can try to pull it. It's very painful, but basically it has got hairs. And the functions of those hairs that are found in the auditory canal, maybe they're just lying down here. The function of those hairs, it is to prevent foreign objects from entering the ear. So they prevent foreign objects from entering the ear. Okay, let's just say objects that might possibly or probably hurt your ear. The auditory canal also contains earwax. So the earwax, it is the dirt of the ear, which you can scoop out using an earbud. That brown that brown wax structure, it is known as an earwax. So this earwax is found as part of the auditory canal, and it prevents the ear from drying out. So it prevents the ear from becoming dry, because basically you know that in humans, for basic functioning, we need moisturized surfaces. So we need to have enough wetness. It must be a wet area, okay, because nothing can work with a lot of friction. So basically we say that the earwax that you find at the auditory canal, it keeps the eye moist, or the ear moist. So it prevents the ear from drying out, in a sense here. So that is all about the outer ear. The outer ear, its basic function, it is to take the sound waves from the outside environment and enter them, and they must go towards the tympanic membrane. So here we have got sound waves at the outer ear. Now we can look at the middle ear and just try to shift inside a bit. So when we shift inside a bit, we look here at the tympanic membrane. Remember, the tympanic membrane, it was just found at the end of this at the end of the auditory canal. So here, remember that our auditory canal was somewhere like here. So it had sound waves that were traveling towards the tympanic membrane. So the tympanic membrane, in general terms, it is known as an eardrum. It is known as an eardrum. So a drum, you can hear the sense of a drum. When you beat a drum, it starts vibrating. All right. When you say vibrating, just means shaking. Okay. You know, when we have a vibrator, anything that is known as a vibrator, it's something that shakes and shakes and shakes and shakes and shakes. I mean, continuously. So the tympanic membrane, it is otherwise known as an eardrum, but for life sciences terms, we use the word tympanic membrane. So the sound waves now, they've entered the outer ear. Now, what will happen at the tympanic membrane? So when the sound waves reach the tympanic membrane, because remember that the auditory canal is transmitting those sound waves towards the what? Towards the tympanic membrane. So when they reach the tympanic membrane, they cause the tympanic membrane to vibrate. So basically, we say that the tympanic membrane vibrates due to sound waves that are coming from the auditory canal. So the main thing that happens here is that the tympanic membrane is now starting to vibrate. What's causing it to vibrate? It is because there are sound waves that are coming from the auditory canal. And then those vibrations are later transmitted into the middle ear by this tympanic membrane. We're going to see how does that work. But basically, when sound waves attack the tympanic membrane, the tympanic membrane will start shaking, or it will start vibrating. It will start vibrating. Now, the tympanic membrane, it is connected to 3 bones, and those 3 bones are collectively known as ossicles. So their collective name, or all together, we say they're known as ossicles. So you can see the bones here. You've got one bone here. This is one bone here that I'm highlighting in red. So this is one bone here. And then this bone, it is connected to another bone here, which I'm highlighting in blue. So this is another bone here. And then the third bone that this thing is connected to, it is the one that I'm highlighting in red again. This is another bone as well. Okay, cool. So you can see that we've got 3 bones, and together we say they're known as ossicles. So the first bone here, let's just name them. The first bone, it is known as the hammer. So the first bone, it is known as the hammer. Try your best to not use the word malleus as well as all those things that you can see in your possible textbooks. Let's try to use the word hammer. And then the middle bone, the one highlighted in blue here, it is known as an anvil, as well as the last bone here, the last ossicle bone, the small ossicle bone that we have at the end there, it is known as the stirrup. So it is known as the stirrup. Alright, cool. So now we have got these 3 ossicles. What are the functions of these bones that are connected to the tympanic membrane? So basically, the ossicles, they amplify the vibrations. Remember that now, at the tympanic membrane, the sound waves that were coming from the auditory canal, they are now being converted to vibrations. Okay, that's why you have said that according to this basic functioning modulus that I've given you here, I've said that the sound waves must enter the outer ear and they must cause vibrations in the middle ear. So in essence here, we are trying to say that the tympanic membrane, the moment it starts vibrating or it starts shaking due to these sound waves, it actually means that we are converting sound waves to vibrations. Vibrations just means something's shaking, guys. Try to imagine this. So now the ossicles, these bones here, they amplify those vibrations from the tympanic membrane. So they make the vibrations to be even bigger. So they also vibrate as well. So the ossicles, these 3 little bones, they vibrate. Because basically it makes sense, because here we have got a tympanic membrane, and this tympanic membrane, it is connected to the ossicles. Okay, it is connected to all the 3 ossicles. So the moment the tympanic membrane starts vibrating, the ossicles will also vibrate as well, because they are connected. I mean, if 2 things are attached together and something starts vibrating and moving, how can the other one not? Come on, guys. Can just see the sense here. So here we are trying to say that the tympanic membrane, the moment it is vibrating due to the sound waves, it transmits those vibrations into the ossicles. Okay, so the ossicles, basically they make up what we say is the middle ear. So the middle ear is most focused on the ossicles. So these vibrations are later on transmitted also into the inner ear as well. And then the other part that we have got is the tube here that we say is known as the eustachian tube. So the eustachian tube that you find here, it is connected to your throat. So it is found somewhere here. So this is your ear, right? This is your ear. So it is found somewhere here. It actually goes down deep there, and then it is connected to your throat. So the eustachian tube, what is its function? The function of the eustachian tube, it is to equalize pressure on either sides of the tympanic membrane. What does this mean? It just means simply that the pressure that is coming from the sound waves, remember that the sound waves are coming from the outer ear and they are attacking the tympanic membrane. So basically, the pressure that is coming there from this side of the tympanic membrane must be the same as the pressure inside here. Okay, the other side of the tympanic membrane. I'm sure there are 2 sides here. There's one side here, there's another side of this tympanic membrane. So there must be equal pressure on both sides so that your ear can function normally. Okay, otherwise, if there's a lot of pressure from these sound waves, your tympanic membrane will just end up getting damaged, or it will just end up exploding or bursting up, and you end up not being able to hear. So basically, the pressure must be equalized. So there must be the same pressure inside at the middle ear, of course, and there must be the same pressure at the outer ear. So there's an equal pressure there due to this eustachian tube. Okay, we can look at that later on at how it specifically happens. But now let's first look at the ossicles. We've said that the ossicles amplify vibrations, right? So now before we get them, we see that here the last bone, which is the stirrup, the small bone here, the stirrup, it is connected to this small dot. We've got 2 black dots here basically, but we are talking about this particular one, which is known as the oval window. So the oval window here, it is connected to the last bone, which is the stirrup. Remember that the stirrup, it is also shaking, or it is also vibrating. I'm sure it's part of the ossicles. Since all the ossicles are vibrating, this little bone here is also vibrating, and it is connected to the oval window. So how does that actually help in amplifying? How to explain the amplifying of sound waves or the amplifying of vibrations by the ossicles? We say that the vibrations enter a large tympanic membrane. Look at this carefully, grade 12. Here you can see that this is the tympanic membrane and it has got a large surface area. It is the one that starts vibrating. And then we have got here a small oval window. So this is a small dot. This small dot here represents the oval window. So you can see that the sound waves are entering at a larger place and they're exiting at a smaller place. Imagine this. When let's just assume that we have got I don't know, we have got a pipe of water. We have got a pipe of water. If we have got a pipe of water that is large at first and then it becomes narrow a bit, what will happen to the water? The water will come out with more pressure, right? The water will be more, okay, it will just come up with more pressure in a sense. Okay, it's because it enters a large area and it exits a smaller area. Alright, so basically here, that's the same thing with the vibrations, because the vibrations here, they're basically entering a large tympanic membrane. Okay, the vibrations at the tympanic membrane will be large because basically the tympanic membrane is larger than the oval window here. And then they are exiting or they are coming out from a smaller oval window. So when they come out from the smaller oval window, you can see that there's a difference there. Think about this. If you've got a pipe at your home, the one that they use to water the garden. So there's this sprinkler. There's this sprinkler that sprinkles water from a hose pipe. So basically that sprinkler has got small holes, right? That's why the water comes out with a lot of pressure. So the water comes out with great pressure. Reason being, there are small holes there, but the water is entering in a larger pipe. So similarly here, the vibrations, when they enter in a large tympanic membrane and they exit through a smaller window, the smaller oval window, they will be more concentrated. Also, the vibrations will be more concentrated into a oval window, and this will amplify the sound, or this will cause a great pressure to be created there at the oval window. So basically, that's how you explain the amplifying of sound waves, the amplifying of vibrations by the ossicles. Now that we've amplified our vibrations, we now look at the inner ear. So now you can see that this is the oval window. We are still here. This is the oval window connected to the bone here. We just shifted a bit into the inner ear. And then this is known as a round window as well. This small dot is known as a round window. This part is known as a cochlea. And then this one is known as an auditory nerve. Don't confuse this with an auditory canal. This one is known as an auditory nerve. So now looking at this, how does the inner ear work? Because first of all, sound waves have already entered the outer ear. The vibrations have already been created and been transmitted and been amplified by the middle ear. Now we are here. We must have pressure waves in the inner ear. So how does that work? Let's just look at this. So first we start with the oval window. The oval window transmits the vibrations from the middle ear to the inner ear. Remember that we have said that the oval window, according to our previous diagram, the oval window, it is connected to the last bone of the ossicles, okay, the stirrup, the last bone of the ossicles. And since the last bone of the ossicles is continuously vibrating as well, it's vibrating, those vibrations, they are actually transmitted through the oval window so that they can enter this part that is known as an inner ear. So basically, the main function of the small oval window here, it is to transmit those vibrations into the middle ear, into the inner ear, from the middle ear. Now, we've got a cochlea here. The cochlea here, it is this big structure that looks rounded. So this big structure that looks rounded is known as an cochlea. So the cochlea, its main function, it is fluid filled. So this is very important. It is filled with fluid. So it has got a lot of a water substance, a liquid substance in it. So the fluid that is filling the cochlea, it is known as the endolymph. So in case you might need this, so it is filled with a fluid that is known as an endolymph. So the endolymph, it is the fluid that is full inside the cochlea. So now, since this is filled with fluid, or it is filled with water, okay, just imagine this as water if the word fluid is confusing you. So basically here, this whole structure highlighted in red, which is the cochlea, it is full with fluid, okay, or it is filled with endolymph. So remember that the the vibrations here, this bone here, this stapes here, it is vibrating. So it is more like it is knocking. It is knocking on the cochlea, and the cochlea, it is full of a fluid. So basically there will be pressure waves in here. So imagine there's a tank that is full of water, or maybe there's a bucket that is full of water, and you start beating outside the bucket. You start just stroking the bucket and stroking the bucket. What will happen? The water will start moving, and they'll start being pressure waves, right? So the water will start having a vibrate, those pressure waves. You say they're known as pressure waves. So basically, that's how we get to the pressure waves. That's how they are created. So basically, as this last bone of the ossicles, it is vibrating. It is just knocking there at the cochlea. It is continuously just beating the cochlea, and the cochlea, it is full with some fluid, or it is full of endolymph. So it starts shaking as well, and then the fluid inside will create pressure waves. I think it kind of makes sense. So here the pressure waves are created at the cochlea. So now, when these pressure waves are created, there is an organ inside the cochlea that is known as an organ of Corti. So the organ of Corti converts sound stimulus into an impulse. So basically, that pressure waves, those pressure waves, they are a stimulus, or they actually stimulate, they actually cause an organ in the cochlea that is known as an organ of Corti to convert that stimulus into an impulse. Because remember that this, at the end of the day, it needs to go to the cerebrum for interpretation. All right. So basically, the organ of Corti that is found in the cochlea, it will detect those pressure waves. Okay, it will detect those pressure waves. So as it detects those pressure waves, it will convert them into a nerve impulse. Okay, just say it's a nerve impulse, not just an impulse. So this nerve impulse, it will be the one that will have to go to the cerebrum and tell you what is the sound like. So now here, the round window is also another dot that you can see here. And to explain the round window, we say that it absorbs excess pressure waves. That's the main function of the round window. And this will actually end up preventing an echo of the sound. So it will prevent the sound to come back to you. Okay, to go back where it came from, basically. It wants the sound to go into your ear so that it can be converted and go to your brain. All right. So the round window will take the extra pressure waves. So if there are pressure waves that are too many here in the cochlea, the extra ones would have to be absorbed by the round window. So this will prevent an echo within your ear. So now let's just assume now everything is done. The sound stimulus, the pressure waves, of course, they've been converted into a nerve impulse. Now the nerve impulse needs to be transmitted, or it needs to be transported to the cerebrum so that it can be interpreted as sound. So this is known as the auditory nerve. So this tube that exits from the cochlea, it is known as the auditory nerve. Remember, don't confuse it with the auditory canal. This is known as an auditory nerve. So the auditory nerve, basically remember that the nerve tissue, it is made up of neurons, of course. So basically its main function is to transmit impulses. So we know that here the impulses that have been generated here in the organ of Corti. Remember, in the cochlea, there's an organ of Corti, which is a receptor. Okay, I forgot to mention. So we say that the organ of Corti is a receptor. Why do we say that it's a receptor? Remember that when I introduced this thing of a nervous system, we have said that the receptor cells are the ones that convert a stimulus into an impulse. So for the sake of sound, or for the sake of the ear, we say that the receptor there, it is the organ of Corti, because it is the one that converts the pressure waves into an impulse. All right, so the organ of Corti is a receptor. Remember that in the eye, the photoreceptors, we have photoreceptors. Similarly, in the human ear, we have got organ of Corti to convert those pressure waves into an impulse, and then those impulses will travel through the auditory nerve. And where are they going? They are going to the cerebrum, and the cerebrum will interpret them. so the cerebrum will interpret them. So basically, when you are hearing a sound, it is not really the ear that is hearing the sound, it is your brain that is interpreting the sound. Otherwise, the ear only gets the sound waves, and then the middle ear will get the vibrations, the inner ear will get the pressure waves, but your brain will interpret a sound. So it's a complex thing, but it's really amazing. So here, basically the sequence of how sound is created, we start here. Remember, they can ask this in multiple choice. You start here, the sequence. You start with sound waves. So everything starts with sound waves. And then those sound waves, they are in the outer ear. They're entering the outer ear, the pinna and the auditory canal. And then those sound waves are converted to vibrations. Remember that at the middle ear, we've got vibrations when the tympanic membrane starts vibrating, and it causes the ossicles to do the same. And then after those vibrations are here at the middle ear, those vibrations will cause the cochlea to form pressure waves. So from vibrations, we form pressure waves. And when we form the pressure waves, those pressure waves will then be converted into a nerve impulse. Okay, they'll be converted into a nerve impulse. And then this nerve impulse, of course, will be sent to the cerebrum, because the cerebrum is the one that interprets each and everything that is happening in the outside environment. Thank you so much, Wonderful Matrix, for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends to also stay tuned.